Hello, this is Mark from Gary's Guitars. This is a quick little selfie-style introduction because I'm editing a video I made with my friend George Blodgett talking about Fender and Fender guitars. So I want to give you a little background information first. George worked for Fender guitars for, I'm going to guess, from 71, 40 years probably. He had a 40-year career with Fender guitars. He became one of the owner-investors, employee owners of Fender in the buyout. And to this day, he's now 80 years old. He's a pretty sharp guy, but you'll notice some little bits of memory failing once in a while. But he's great at telling these first-hand stories about things that were happening back then. So I got George to sit down and tell some stories. This will be part 2 we're watching. Part 1, hopefully you've already seen. If not, go look on the YouTube channel and find wherever part 1 is. And thanks for watching. Alright, so we were at the point we were talking about, the profit margin. So CBS was used to
a lot.
Oh, big profit margin, so 90% markup, and Fender was giving them 35.
And suddenly they weren't. They were pushing us to. Here we are already the lowest price American-made guitar. Mm-hmm. They wanted more money on it, mm-hmm. and we kept pushing it back, and it became kind of not a pleasant game. Mm-hmm. But one of the guys that managed to keep us out of the way. His name was Bill Mandello, mm-hmm. and he could spot anything that CBS's people were, and he got very good at saying, "No, you can't do it that way," uh-huh. and if you do it that way, and stop dumping us 75,000 guitar picks when we only need 50,000.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So here's the CBS whisperer, or the person who could reason with them.
But the same kind of thing was happening with Steinway. Mm-hmm. The same thing that was happening with Rogers and some of these others, and it happened after the prices started to edge up a little bit. The other companies kind of said, "Oh, wait a minute, we can stand and sell ours cheaper without messing up how good it was."
Oh yeah, right. Uh-huh.
And not to say that a lot of the stuff that Lyon and Healy and some of these others weren't making superb instruments. Mm-hmm. The pill pushers in New York just couldn't see what music really was, mm-hmm. except for the
pencil pushers. You said pill pushers. Yeah. That's a different part of the story.
Anyway.
Yeah. Just in the wrong business.
So they just kind of I know we were having a dinner at a NAMM show, and I wasn't talking with him at the same time, but Hank Steinway was saying to one of his buddies that he was trying to hire from Baldwin, mm-hmm. that, maybe you shouldn't consider this because we have no idea what CBS is going to do. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point, of course there's a lot in between.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
A lot of that would be what the things you can do in California, for example, that you can't do in Wisconsin, mm-hmm. and that is have 3 girlfriends and 2 wives, stuff like that. And
So that's what the CBS vice presidents were concerned with, more than
that's-
anything else, yeah.
yes. And so it got to the point where our reputation had gotten so bad that they said, okay, we're going to sell it. We're going to
Yeah.
sell the whole thing as a chunk. And CBS says, no, we don't want to go through trying to separate these things. If you're going to buy this thing, you got to buy. And now there were 2 or 3 companies that we never even heard of.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, we lived for a year wondering what the hell was going to happen next. And then at the trade show at 71,
No, it's later than that.
Pardon? I'm sorry, 74.
74?
No,
No.
71, I think.
No, we're talking, because you're talking about, well, go ahead, keep telling the story, we'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But, where were we? Oh, anyway, they didn't want to break it up into pieces because it was just too
Yeah,
much
too
trouble.
much, yeah, all these little
Too much
companies.
trouble. I mean, we can't be bothered. We got the world coming, and so nobody would bite.
Yeah.
Peavy would come over and say, well, we're not going to buy you.
Yeah, if we got to take all this other stuff with it, yeah.
So Bill Schultz finally went in. Bill, again, was one of these guys who, as I mentioned, doesn't know what's going on here. He's always looking five years ahead of time.
Yeah.
And what kids should be buying or would be buying, and how much can things happen, and can we still get any more rosewood, and
Yeah.
all these things.
All right, and for those who don't know the name, he later became the president of Fender.
Well, he became the same day we bought it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
But he had worked there,
Yeah.
and so it was 70. I have to go look at my tax things.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, it finally got to the point where, oh God, just you guys like buzzing bees, and just leave us alone. And Bill came up with a plan, and it was a really wild plan. You're not going to go anywhere with Fender. It's nobody will buy it.
Yeah.
And besides, that kind of market was changing a little bit, and so we're going to make you an offer, and you can either take it or leave it. And we, I say we, he called us, everybody together, that we're gonna try something. I'm gonna lowball this company and see if they'll take it, and if so, if you're gonna put in 10,000 or whatever it is, you gotta have it. You can't just say, oh well we'll get it or
Yeah,
take
right,
it.
yeah.
It's gotta be real.
Yeah.
And he just bugged the guys at the name show.
Yeah.
We didn't show up on the first day. And when the CBS guys came in, he said, "What the hell here? What's going on? Where's the guitars? Where's the amplifiers and so forth?" And we're all just sitting there looking. And suddenly, Bill and I can't think of the name of the other guy's name, went off to a little cubby hole in the back, and when it was over, look, we'll do this with you if you don't tell anybody period. Because we'll be just, everybody in the world is going to be trying to not take this.
Yeah, rip off a little piece of it.
And we're going, I got you. And when he came out, he was smiling, but he got the 16 of us, or 15, because he was number 16, together and said, now look at, you've all talked about a certain amount of money. Can you have it here by tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else said it. And on the next day, they came in and said, okay, we'll take your money, and it's yours.
Yeah.
And we don't care what you do. So, as it happened, in cash, we probably had a little over $1 million. They were looking for 11 or 12. And so Bill Mondello gets on the horn and talking to some of his finance people and so forth. And I'm trying to get ready to tell Cindy that we're going to put a huge mortgage on the house and a few other things.
Yeah.
And beyond that, when we bought it, we ended up buying it for $11 million at 18%. The highest percentage.
Basically a credit card interest rate. It's like you took out your
You're
American
right.
Express and.
But we needed to look like we were rich folks anyway.
Yeah.
So the word went out from Bill, both Bills, and tomorrow you're going to bring your sheets. I've called a couple of friends of mine over at Yamaha because he'd worked there. They'll bring us some stands, and we need this, we need that, we need chairs, we need...
Oh, literally the sheets from your hotel room.
From the hotel room.
to make a display, because you...
And this really was the last day that we were in Valencia, because we went over to the factory to get the sign.
Yeah.
Huge one. And it was in the trash, in the dumpster, under a whole bunch of other stuff. And Brad Townsend, one of our sales kids, said, come on, we need to get this out. We need to fly this. And we just pretended that we were just wonderful and everything was rosy,
great. Now everything's even better.
and so forth. And in the meantime, we were doing things like, sorry, we don't have any Stratocasters, and you want the Squire Stratocasters. And I don't know that we made a lot of these, but and we were taking orders.
No, right.
So there were a lot of Squires that went out that had the label scratched off, straightened up, put the fender on it. I'm sorry, the other way.
No, so you had to sell more Squires, and you had too many Fender guitars and not Squire branded guitars, so you actually rebranded Fender guitars as Squires. Is that the?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just doing whatever you could to get guitars out the door.
And nobody knew how this was working. So people were coming over and saying, "Well, can you help us with Steinway?" And you got to do what we did. Just kick them in the ass and see what happens. And in order to make it work, though, we had to get rid of Rogers.
Yeah.
We had to get rid of Rhodes.
Yeah.
And of course by early '80s, the synthesizers had just kind of
taken over the keyboard
the keyboard market, and we just went out I remember, you do what you can do for orders. Here's what we have. Well, the other thing that worked for us though was, at that time we were ready to go and had piles of them. We were ready to put like a JBL PA systems in. You can hang them up and so forth.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many hundreds of them that we had. And the thing got worked. The whole thing came to a total halt on the day after Mendello happened to look over this whole thing and found out what was the liability of hanging this stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, for insurance reasons.
And as it turns out, if JBL sold a $1,000 unit, it's very likely that they were paying another $500 just to get it hung.
Yeah.
And get the insurance and everything.
Yeah.
Well, we took some of those and we kind of make them look like something that and put some wheels on them, and out the door they went.
Or whatever.
So we ducked under that thing, and like I say, we just kept our mouth shut and kept pounding.
Okay, so this is something I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that, so the factory was not included in what you purchased. Yeah.
No.
So you literally grabbed the Fender logo out of the dumpster.
Yep. And the various people who were working said, well, look, we can store some of this stuff here. Dan Smith said, I've got a 3-car garage, and we'll get as many as we can, and we'll start making them there.
Yeah.
And we negotiated some other buildings that we could get in, but it was like,
it was a scramble, and
it was a scramble.
And then with the Japanese productions, so some of the there are Fender.
Yeah. Bill had worked for Yamaha, and he had worked for Fujigaki, who make really good stuff.
So this is even previous to the employee buyout of Fender. Fender had already.
Well, no.
No, okay.
This was, to my knowledge, if I can remember, it was a telephone call made to say, can you build us some stuff?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And we were out of bases, so we made. They actually made some wonderful bases. If I could find one, I'd take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And the other thing we needed, we were desperate about getting the big machinery that you needed, and Bill took off to Wien in, I don't know, Germany, Austria? Or someplace like that. Austria. And that's where we had two of the ones that we couldn't take out of the machinery.
Yeah. That you couldn't get from the factory.
We couldn't get, and they said, and Bill said, look, we need 6 of them.
Cutting machine, basically.
Yep, and they were. He said, look, the best we could do for you is 2. He said, no, we're going to sink if we don't get 2.
Yeah.
He said, well, okay, they worked out a deal that Wien, I'll find out the name of the company. What they did is they said, okay, we'll send you 2 built so you can start, and we're going to send you all the plans you need to build 4 more.
Yeah. Oh, so they
And-
probably made these to order anyways, these kinds of machines, so they just didn't have them sitting around.
Bill was on the phone a lot, I can tell you, but with the pages of what these machines look like,
Yeah.
draft things and so
German.
on. Well, they did them in French, and they did them in a couple others.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very long. Oh, we took one of the finished ones and took the crappy little place we had down in Santa Ana. Not the Santa Ana from the beginning. And was it? Yeah, Santa Ana. That we'll have to check out.
Okay.
So one machine to start guitars right now.
Yeah.
One machine to start with raw iron and steel and aluminum and whatever we needed, and we ended up in 3 months the 6 machines that we needed.
Uh-huh.
And by that time, we were putting out enough stuff that they were that we were getting someplace where we sort of were, and we weren't. Now, backing up for a minute, when we took the day of the show.
Yeah. Oh, we bought that when we actually made the deal. Yeah.
What was I going to say?
You're talking about getting the logo out of the dumpster and bringing it back.
No,
that stuff.
no.
Okay.
One of the things that got done in the deal with CBS
Yeah. Right.
was that we had a shitload of speakers.
Yeah.
And some usable, some not that we wanted to sell that way because we didn't want to get into the problems with the PAs and stuff and so forth. And we had also negotiated all the cars they were leasing. And so I got a new Ford for $200. It was $2,200.
Yeah. Right.
And
Because if you're going to risk your life savings, you might as well get a car out of the deal.
right. But this will come back into the game a second. We had all this stuff that we weren't going to market and so forth. So we went out to our dealers and said, look here's a wonderful thing. We all know what to do with it. And it was boards and you name it, so forth. And because we had gotten it from CBS, because they were going to throw it. Matter of fact, some of this stuff actually came out of the trash.
Yeah.
We just picked it up, and I remember selling a 32
Mixer.
a mixer with very good stuff, and I think we sold it for like $300.
Yeah.
And we went to the customers that we knew had their bills paid and could get want some of this stuff and say, hey, so you're not used to selling speakers like that, but what the heck, you're going to get them from 15 cents on the dollar and just get them the hell out and make some money.
Yeah.
And the customers loved us.
Yeah.
And from there, things started to get a little better, or much better.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico was